As a college student, you will have a lot of things going on at once, and it can become very overwhelming. Using a priority matrix will help you categorize items from your to-do list by importance and urgency. A priority matrix has both an urgent and important axis and is divided into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. Quadrant 2 is not urgent but important. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. And finally, Quadrant 4, which is not urgent and not important. Urgent simply means your timeline. How soon does this need to be done? Think of important in terms of consequences. What will happen if the item doesn't get done on time? Quadrant 1 are for items that are both urgent and important. This quadrant should be reserved for items that need to be completed right away because they are time sensitive or have a deadline. Some examples would be paying your rent, submitting a final project, or taking an exam that's due that same night. For quadrant 2, we're talking about items that are not urgent but still important. Items in this quadrant need to be prioritized, but you should not have to complete the task right away. Quadrant 2, you want to put items such as getting ahead on a chapter reading, working on a review for next week's exam, or starting homework that's due in a couple days. Quadrant 3 is reserved for items that are not important but still urgent. This quadrant will often remain empty. If you do have any items, you want to make sure that they will help you out in the long run. Some examples for this quadrant would be working on extra credit, completing additional readings, or watching supplementary videos. Lastly, we have quadrant 4, which is reserved for items that are both not important and not urgent. This last quadrant should not have anything that is school or work related, but instead have smaller items that you could utilize as a break. Quadrant 4 has items like replying to text messages, listening to a new podcast episode, or catching up on your new book. Creating a priority matrix is a perfect technique to use when you have an overwhelming to-do list. Take a few minutes out of your day to separate your items into each quadrant before you start crossing items off. If you're interested in learning additional academic or professional skills, stop by the HCAP Student Success Center. We offer several resources throughout the semester, such as academic and professional workshops, peer mentoring services, and more. For any questions, stop by our center or contact us using the information on screen. Lastly, follow us on social media to stay up to date on everything we have going on.